Good morning from Gainesville, Texas. This is Jason Streeter, and I thought I'd do another walk around video. I've only done one, so I'm due for another one, I suppose. With all my family and friends out there, having a nice spring. These are our ice plants, and we had a water line repair. Had to bust out this sidewalk, and my current plan is to let that ice plant just fill that in. We'll have some nice flowers. For those of you who haven't seen my yard, I like to plant in the sidewalk. When we first moved in, you couldn't even see the sidewalk, so this is a big improvement over that. Over here we've got our dwarf banana trees. We started with one that I got on clearance at Calla Lilies here in Gainesville, and grew it up and stuck it in my son's bedroom through the winter, and we were able to pull a few babies off, divide it, and plant them back in, and I gave the babies away. Here we've got our sedums. I believe these are called Oracle or Blue Spruce sedum, and they're really common around Gainesville. This is my son's apple tree. So he just planted a seed last year, and we'll see if anything sprouts for him. Over here we've got Erica's rubber tree plant. Some large sedums here. Asters. We planted some seeds all through. I like to collect seeds. My mother gave us some boxes of seeds that she bought, and we put all the marigolds she gave us in these pots. We'll see how they do. And we've got cannas, and they've sprouted right up. For some reason, the ones on this side get so much bigger than the ones on this side, and I'm not really sure why. And this is our Texas sagebush, and I think it's dead. I think we lost it. This is a little flower pot Erica put together with geraniums and alyssum and a few other little odds and ends things. I like to propagate a few plants here and there to share with friends. And back here we've got sunflowers, and these are sunflowers that came from birdseed we used to put in that bird feeder there, and they have been coming back on their own, and we just kind of let them. They're kind of pretty. They're not the giant. I think they're the black oil type sunflowers. Here we have our crimson pirate daylilies, and this is our newest Gerber daisy. That's an old flower, so it's not representative of what it's going to look like. We're not even really sure how they're going to look like when they're brand new. We've got Dusty Miller and Mums back there. That's the other half of that aster plant around the corner there, and in front of it is a hibiscus. Our dianthus are in full bloom right now. Right in here, me and a friend got into getting some daylily seeds, and these are crosses from some really pretty different types of daylilies, so we'll see if any of them come up and be pretty. This one right here I'm really excited about, and it is a cross between Wolverine and Venus flytrap. So if you feel like looking those up, you'll see it's got lots of teeth. This one here has teeth, is going to have teeth as well. I want to say it's I Want a Piranha versus crossed with something else. We've also got some alyssum popping up in here, and more Gerber daisies, This is a coreopsis. And our bluebonnets are blooming. And you can see we've got, this is our wildflower bed. Forgive all my ums. I do have a job where I speak for a living every now and then. But when I have to think a lot, I'm going to say a lot of ums. This is some more dianthus, a different type. You can see some of our sedums got over here in the wildflower bed, and I think they'll probably get shaded out at some point, but I'm not going to pull them out for no reason at all. We also added some liatris this year. I've never grown liatris before. I'm trying to find one somewhat close to share with you. Here we go. Another native wildflower. Let's swing around here. You can see more of the sidewalk. This is a apricot drift rose. And obviously our rosemary. Cross over here on the mailbox. Every year we plant cypress vine. You can see they're coming along real nice. And they make so many seeds I don't have to really buy any. I do collect them and plant them each year. They don't really seed themselves. This is our lavender bed that we got from Lavender Ridge Farms here in Gainesville. And they're a perennial. We tried lavender several times until I had to do a little research and talk to the guys over there at Lavender Ridge, and they told me how much lavender hates water. And so we built a raised bed and we don't water it, and that's been the trick. But they've been evergreen this year, so they stayed up all winter even with ice piled up on them, and now they finally started to grow again. I'm not sure when they're going to bloom, but it looks like we've got some stalks trying to poke up a little bit, so we might be heading into that time. Some more daylilies. These, I believe, are early bird cardinal daylilies. I think this is a little bit leftover aster that was there. It was a bigger plant before, kind of died back. We've also got some more Texas bluebonnets popping up and some baby purple coneflowers. I did not plant those here. They kind of migrated from the wildflower bed. All these bigger plants you're seeing are purple coneflowers, and they're already starting to make their flowers. And then we'll swing over and you guys can see my, we call them around here moonflowers, but if you bought a moonflower at the store, it wouldn't be this, it would be a vine. A more accurate term would be datura, but I've heard it also called devil's trumpet because it makes a pretty white flower that points up. A relative of this is the angel trumpet, and its flowers point down. Here is a Rose of Sharon, or Althea, or hibiscus bush, and I collected it from under another hibiscus bush and just planted it, and it came up fine. We've got our sweet potato vine. This is the first year we haven't had to buy sweet potato vine because we saved some and have been making slips to plant them. Now we're going into the backyard, which is shady. And along the house I planted purple hearts and a type of iris that I'm not 100% sure what it is. It might be something I need to look up or ask on the plant exchange. But it's not a bearded iris. The purple hearts all were transplanted from the bed in the front that you guys will see near the end of the video. This is a new crepe myrtle bush that we planted last year, and hydrangea, and let's see, that's Asiatic jasmine. Our shade beds are our newest and haven't been developed as much. Lots of my plants were given to me by the pastor's wife, and so this is another one, as well as all the irises came from her. This is called oxalis, and it's a clover mixed pink flowers, and supposedly it's really good to eat. Over here we've got a hellebore that was given to me by a friend. He gave me a few. He bought a bunch of bare roots and shared a few with me, so thank you very much for that. I have one that was planted last year, and it did really well. You can see flowers are coming into seed. I'm just going to let them drop off and do what they will. I've heard that they take a long time to germinate. What did I see over here? Saw something that I don't want. I always have weeds popping up. And here's an oxalis donated by that same friend. That's a purple variety. And this was a Japanese maple that I got really cheap, and it did not make it. We may try again later, but I think it was already on its way out when we bought it. Oh, there you are. This little fella right here is evil. Evil! They must all go. You can live in the woods, not here. We've got some redbud trees that I planted from seed. I collected off the mama plant, which is right there. We wanted to get a couple more. And coming in from the neighbor's yard, we've got Turk's caps. Love Turk's caps. They're really cool. We didn't have to bring them. They just kind of creep in from their great big bed on the other side of the wall. And it brings in the hummingbirds like nobody's business. These little dudes here are, I believe, hackberry trees. Come up everywhere, and if you let them go more than a couple weeks, they're going to be a big woody tree coming up. We also have to fight the pecan trees that come up all the time. This is our newest attempt at a hosta, and you can see it's already been eaten on. I planted over 30 bare root hostas and had some donated by friends on the plant exchange, and they all were eaten by sow bugs, doodle bugs, roly-polies, whatever you want to call them. And I love having the doodle bugs. They keep my soil nice and happy. But certain plants, they gobble up. This is our cast iron plant. I know they've done really well in a little bit farther south. We're in zone 7, and they do survive here, but don't look as good, so we'll see how he does. I figured if maybe here under some shelter it might do a little better, and it hung in there for this first year. It had a lot of ice, so we'll see. I'm kind of curious if anyone knows a lot about this plant, how much you can prune it. It's a really fibrous and slow growing plant, it seems, and I pruned a little bit of the ugly off of it, but I'm afraid to go too far and stress it out. But I would like to be able to cut the brown off and have it replenish every year. But we'll see. Let's see. Oh, okay. Back over here, we've got Vinca minor, and this does really well here. I've seen another yard, so I'd like this whole side to be taken up with Vinca minor, this side of the air conditioner unit. And then these are my wife's daylilies, strawberry candy, and I'm really excited about how they're going to look this year. They're a lot bigger than any other daylilies we've planted. Okay, and on back here we've got, the neighbors have a lot of garlic growing back there. We transplanted some that were creeping into our yard. This here is a little daylily that I just don't know what it's going to be. We'll see. and the kids drop toys around. And this is my wife's brain fart. I'll come back. I'll think of it in a second. More irises donated by Lavonda. And back here is our garden. I'm sure my wife is cringing at the moment. Here we have our compost pile. We've got a can with mint, Swiss chard, and this used to be our collard green bed, but it's now being prepared. I will probably plant tomatoes in this area, and they're coming up nice in the greenhouse. Say hi to Dusty the rabbit. Another herb here that I found out was a perennial, thyme, and another one, sage. Neither one of those I counted on coming back, but they did manage to come back. We've got strawberries. Just bought one little plant last year, and it's been making strawberries pretty well. And our lettuce patch starting to fade, and our garlic. And then over here we have our row that's going to be okra. You can see the okra plants coming up. I'm going to go along this edge, and then we just planted this year asparagus. I don't know if you can see that. As you can see, I'm a no-till gardener. I put down fresh straw each year and plant, and then more straw, and then plant, and more straw. And that's how I do it. Alright. We've got some volunteer squash of some sort, probably pumpkins. I don't really have any place to grow them. I'm not going to mess with them right now. Ooh, what are you? I don't know what you are. I always like to find all the animals living in the yard, and they do like the compost. That's all our greens that we cut, collard greens, put into the compost pile. The backside view of the shady yard. Over here we've got more cannas. I transplanted these from the front, and in the front yard these things get like 8 or 9 feet tall. Back here I haven't seen them more than 2 feet tall, which is fine. They don't need to be big. I know they really like the sun, but they're doing okay back here in the shade. And then up to the front we've got, I believe these are Little Business daylilies. Let's turn that water off. And I got them from Walmart. They just said red daylilies, but when I looked at the flower and the size, I believe they're Little Business. And then Atwood's had a rose sale, so I got some of these. They're white roses. I can't remember. Maybe Pascali roses. Match the same deal over here. Pascali roses and daylilies. So red and white, that look nice together. This is another one of our vegetable gardens. This year it's squash. Last year it was okra. You can see the old okra stalks. I'm just going to let them decompose on in there and just keep adding mulch, and we do fine. Don't hardly have to pull weeds at all. I'm a big fan of mulch because I hate pulling weeds. We're going to come around the back side of the house here. This is an old train tracks that come down through town that's undeveloped, and I just kind of keep it mowed. Back here we have our blackberry bushes, or briars, and they're doing really well. Thanks again to Lavonda for donating these, although I've already had a few creeping into the garden on the other side of the fence. For now I'm just snipping them off, but I'll probably have to end up digging those up too. And these briars are shooting up. Next year we're going to have a ton, and that is great. For those of you who don't know, blackberries will make fruit on last year's growth and then make new growth for next year's fruit. This is a new bed here. In the past we have grown pumpkins on this hillside. It goes down. But we were fighting the grasses growing up. So this year I'm laying straw so that the vines will have something to grow on. These aren't actually pumpkins, these are butternut squash, but they'll grow about the same way. Maybe won't make such big vines. But I love butternut squash soup, and I hear they even make a better pie than pumpkin. I just planted these yesterday, as well as the other squash. All my tomatoes and peppers are still in the greenhouse. So we're coming around to the home stretch. And if I've forgotten any of the plants that you've seen, I apologize. These bushes are red tip photinias, except for that one back there and the one you saw in the front. Those are, I believe, viburnums, which I believe are very closely related. This plant here is Mexican sagebush, starting to come up. And then this bed along back here is our cactus bed. Some of them were donated from friends, and some of them we just transplanted from along the highway. And I'm not a big, I don't really know the different types. They're called Aputina, I believe, or prickly pear. We also have lantana in here, and they grow up and look really pretty, the gold type. A lot of wild onions. I used to pull them and fight them, but I gave up. I'll just let them grow. And more of the sedum. And then over here we've got, oh, that's awesome. This is our red yucca, and it's been here for 2 years. It hasn't bloomed, so I'm super excited that we're getting our first bloom. That's awesome. So the red and yellow look really pretty. All these cactuses bloom yellow. This is a rain lily. We tried transplanting them, but we just couldn't dig deep enough to find a root system. Then I just was like, oh well, we'll just cover them up. I figured we did enough damage. Put a big cinder block over the top of them, and they just grew around and came right up. So if they want to be here that bad, more power to them. I just didn't figure they'd like it in a cactus bed. What else do we have? We have cholla that I got some cuttings from here in town. About 4 of them. I think that's about it here. And then the last bed is one of my favorites. It's got the purple hearts and Stella de Oro daylilies. And the purple hearts require a lot of maintenance. They're beautiful and they're easy to grow, but if you don't keep cutting them back, they'll just lay on everything. And they'll also make babies everywhere, which I don't mind. I'll pick up the babies, and look, here's one growing in the sidewalk, just fine. Here's another one growing in the sidewalk. It's been trampled a little bit by kids. It just doesn't seem to ever give up. But I don't mind. I think it looks really pretty with the yellow daylilies, the purple hearts. And then this is new. This is an old tree stump. And some of the neighbors said they were trying to help get rid of the tree stump. They were pouring diesel fuel on the tree stump and thinking that would help get rid of the tree stump. And turns out the fastest way to get rid of a tree stump is plant a flower bed around it and water it. And it gets eaten up really fast. Right here is another canna. We had it in the back where those roses are, but it just didn't really do very well there. And so what was left of it, I transplanted here into the middle of the stump. I dug it out, added some soil, and hopefully it'll get enough nitrogen. I may need to give it some nitrogen as the stump continues to rot, but it's pretty well broken down. I don't think it's going to be taking too much more nitrogen out. We've also got baby purple hearts everywhere. Like I say, it doesn't matter. I don't mind pulling them. They're a lot easier to keep pulled than some of the other weeds. So that is it. Thanks for watching. You'll have a great day.